Death Metal Rise of the New God Issue 1 finds the Mobius chair destroyed, much like its former owner Metron, who was killed when he tried to unlock the ultimate mysteries of the Source, and whose unseen hands were creating the multiverse. The chair's power though was taken by a being from the Dark Multiverse, a being who doesn't fit into the order of things thanks to being from the Dark Multiverse, a place full of broken universes. As the Darkest Night consumes the Crisis energy, all of reality quakes as the refugees from the shattered multiverse retreat to Earth Zero, and at the end of time, Rip Hunter watches the lights of Hypertime burn out, signaling that there is no time left and the end is imminent. In the Sphere of Gods, the remaining powers that be watch as a new god rises, believing that he can still be stopped by a rival power, Perpetua. The Darkest Night confronts the being, telling her that before he kills her, he wants her to know that it hurt every time he had to praise her name and bow to her. He says that he was always going to be the apex predator and wasn't satisfied with playing second fiddle to her. Perpetua knows that she is older than the multiverse and the dark being is nothing but a nightmare. Darkest Night attacks her, stabbing her arm and ripping holes in reality as the two gods begin their battle. As the battle rages on across every reality, a portal from the Omniverse opens, bringing forth the Chronicler, who watches as the gods beat each other with realities. He knows this is progressing much too quickly and he needs to get to work fast. Heading to the Hellscape, the being finds Joker's cell, wondering if his presence drew him to the location, but upon seeing the clown, he knows he's not cosmically significant, knowing he's just a strange nuisance, wondering why he hasn't been killed yet. Joker is caught off guard but quickly covers it up with a joke, as Chronicler soon finds Roger Hayden, the Psycho Pirate. Chronicler introduces himself, telling the villain he needs information. Opening his case, the Chronicler retrieves a book, saying where others only remember echoes of what come before, Psycho Pirate remembers every iteration of history between the crises. The being reveals the book is called the Codex Multiversa, which is recording the history of the world even as they speak, from the collective memory of the Earthlings, but he needs specific information. Opening the book and using Psycho Pirate's powers, Chronicler witnesses the history of the DCU, finding this multiverse is remarkably colourful, wanting to learn more about the characters and stories within it. He knows Psycho Pirate has no more to give him, and the villain agrees it's sad that he has no more. Psycho Pirate tries to use his Medusa mask on the being, but it doesn't work since Chronicler is incapable of feeling for the dead, having simply come to chronicle what has happened since these stories are worth remembering. Psycho Pirate realizes that this is truly the end, and Chronicler says as much, knowing that they cannot waste more time since there is much to learn. The being teleports away to an unknown location, ripping into a facility where he is immediately attacked by Brainiac drones. The being easily wipes them out of existence, demanding Vril Dox, the son of Brainiac, show himself. Vril reveals himself, saying that he's been sending signals into the Omniverse for months, trying to escape, and he was alerted to the being coming. Vril has an offer for the being, telling him the ship used to belong to his father Brainiac and contains databanks filled with the history of the universe, wanting to use it as a bargaining chip with the being. Chronicler opens his codex, pleased that the being has much to offer, but he isn't authorized to make deals with the dead, taking the information from Vril's mind that allows him to see much of the cosmic history of the DCU. Chronicler doesn't understand since there is still so much innate power in this universe, so how could it be allowed to be corrupted to a point of destruction, since this place is of heroes and villains and cosmic fairy tales which should go on forever. Vril begs to differ since most of those cosmic fairy tales tend to destabilize the entire galaxy. He traps the being in a force shield, telling him that he intends to escape this place and into the Omniverse. Chronicler asks if the being truly wishes to see what lies beyond the multiverse, opening the book and showing Vril. Upon witnessing the information in the codex, Vril vomits, and Chronicler tells him that he doesn't cherish what he has and he would cast away all that untapped potential for the dream of greener pastures. Chronicler claims that Vril's knowledge is very limited, wanting more as he teleports away as the son of Brainiac tries to give chase. The Chronicler returns to the moon, watching Perpetua and the Darkest Night still battle. Making a decision he knows his superiors won't condone, he pulls the skull of Metron from the moon dirt, resurrecting the being. Metron doesn't understand what is happening, learning he was destroyed some time before and has been been brought back to life in order to give the chronicler context for this mess. Metron wonders how the multiverse is dying, asking who is behind it. Chronicler points out the giant gods battling nearby, saying that for many millennia he has fulfilled his function and seen many incredible things, but they all pale in comparison to this multiverse, which has beings with extraordinary abilities never seen on this scale before. He reveals many of the stories in the Codex are mundane and talk about ordinary people succumbing to entropy, but this multiverse and its stories are different, and now they will be ripped apart rather than reaching their natural conclusion, which is why Metron must help him understand. Metron knows that all that is happening is new information to him, and being part of a great cosmic race, he was set to watch the eternal struggle of good versus evil, and he played his part as a passive observer, only seeing things from a macro perspective, and the stories he witnessed consumed him. So he betrayed his function and took action, and now separated from his chair, he feels differently about the multiverse, finding it all rather beautiful. Metron knows the chronicler wants to save this multiverse in defiance of his functions, and chronicler says he does, and Metron is glad since the multiverse is still serving its function and cannot truly die. Metron says that this universe is built on belief, with mortals believing in gods, so gods then exist, and then the gods believe in the source, so then the source exists. He knows chronicler is from the source and above him on the rungs of the cosmic ladder, and despite being a person from the omniverse, the source still exists above him. Chronicler confirms as Metron knows this multiverse creates incredible evil so it can be overcome, with first battles being fought on Apocalypse and New Genesis, but now there are other battles that continue to rage on. But the balance will eventually fail, and perhaps the day is today, but he feels comfort in knowing the source is recording it all, as well as the idea that the being who came to record it is a believer in them, since that means their multiverse will never truly die. It will live on in the stories and in the imagination, which at a cosmic scale makes it all real again. Metron shares his knowledge with the chronicler, who witnesses the story of the universe's creation from beginning to end, causing new emotions to swell in the being, making him believe in the universe and its characters, making them eternal. Elsewhere in the Bleed, John Stewart reflects on what being a leader entails and the words everyone speaks to a leader when Jessica stirs him from his mind, telling him the carrier won't make it, and speaking those words John thought about, asking him what they are going to do as the multiverse dies around them. John asks what Hal said, and Jessica says that Hal wanted her to talk to him, especially after everything that has happened to him on Earth 3. John asks if he said no to her, would it matter, and Jessica knows that it would, but she doesn't think it would matter to the interdimensional oblivion they are facing. Jessica reveals that the carrier's hull integrity can't withstand much more of the bleed, which if it keeps falling apart, they will be erased along with the multiverse. She knows they can keep risking it and keep moving, but Kyle knows that won't work forever, and neither does she. John asks her to gather the lanterns, so going to meet with his team, John explains to them and to the unconvinced Guy Gardner that if they unified their will, it should be enough to break through the barrier and get them to Earth Zero. The rest of the lanterns are all in on the plan, but Guy thinks John is still wrecked from what happened and is just overcompensating with this plan. John thinks Guy is the weak link in this plan, asking as much of the man, but Guy says he never has been, telling the man to lead the way. Activating their rings, they funnel their energy into the ship and into Hal Jordan, allowing the former test pilot to fly them through the bleed, doing the impossible and breaching the barrier, dropping the carrier out into Earth Zero, where they are confronted by the darkest night, leading to the team believing that they have arrived too late. John knows that they aren't too late, they just need more power and more soldiers to fight in the war. He tells the lanterns to gather the passengers, talking with Justice Incarnate and the other multiversal heroes that they have rescued, that they have failed to deliver them to their homes, and because their home has now changed, they can't promise to save them, but he will promise to give them all of the power to save themselves. He offers the power of the Green Lanterns and their rings, showing them a power ring and asking the gathered heroes what are they going to do. Death Metal Rise of the New God issue 1 was a really fun adventure across the multiverse from the perspective of someone not from the DC universe. Again, this tie-in hit home the idea that this whole wacky event is literally a comedy, since you got what is essentially an out-of-town auditor coming in to take the minutes of the multiverse before it's destroyed. Seriously, the whole premise is exactly like Ben Wyatt and Chris Traeger in Parks and Recreation, with them coming into Pawnee to audit the town, but finding the town and its people too beautiful to destroy, and instead they try and save it and stay in the town. It's absolutely wonderful that we have an event that can just be this funny but also be this grand, and I love that the book isn't taking itself too seriously, even getting an extra meta here with the chronicler, who also, while representing the auditor, also represents us, the reader, and even the writer, who wants to see more of these characters, who wants to see more of these stories play out. It's just brilliant, and James Tynion did a fantastic job this issue. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.